Hey guys, so since I can't be there today, I wanted to record for you what you're gonna do in Photoshop. So the first thing I need you to do is actually download a set of files from Google Classroom. So you can go to Google Classroom and either access it through the classroom or you can access it directly through Google Drive. But there's a folder called Photoshop Images for Miss K Images for Photoshop. I need you to click on that. I need you to go to the cleaning material. And you're going to open that link in Google Classroom, or in Google Drive, I'm sorry. So to make things a little bit easier, I don't want to download each individual file. I want to download all of them. So I'm going to back out one step here in Google Drive. So instead of clicking here on Miss K Images, I'm going to go back one to the left and called Photoshop Training Material and click on that. Then I'm going to right click on the Miss K Images. And I'm going to go to download. So right click, then select download. It's going to take a second for it to download. Remember that if this pops up for you through Google that asks you to leave site to download the images, do click leave. If you don't click leave here, it won't actually download them. So you do need to click leave. That will download a zip file. Then I'm going to minimize Chrome here. So then I need to go to my downloads folder. So if you remember, if you go down to your dock and then you go to your downloads folder, you can open that downloads folder and the Miss K Images is going to be right there in your download. So I've already downloaded it. I'm going to double click on it. That will take it and unzip it. So now I have this file that is unzipped. Remember though, we need to move it into our tutorial folder. So I'm going to kind of move this window off to the side here. You should have a folder on your desktop with your name on it. So you're going to double click on that folder with your name on it. You're going to come up here to tutorial files. There should be a tutorial files folder. I like to operate in the columns view. So I'm going to go to columns view and then I'm just going to drag over the Miss K Images into my tutorial files folder. So Miss K Images should be inside tutorial files, which should be inside of your folder with your name on it on your desktop. So that's what it should look like. Desktop, folder with your name on it, tutorial files, Miss K Images. Once you have that, you can close out of your Finder by clicking the red X's. And now I need you to open Photoshop. So if you go down to your dock, again, Photoshop is the PS here. At this point, I need you to open your images that you just downloaded. So I'm going to click on Open. Once Photoshop goes, if Photoshop opens already, you could go File Open or Command O. I'm going to go to Julie, Tutorial Files, Miss K Images, and just to make it easier, go ahead and highlight all of those images. So I'm going to click on my African lion. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to hold the Shift key down, and then I'm going to click on the woman. And then I'm going to left click on open. And then it will take you through and it will open all those images. These are just images that we're going to use here when we're learning our selection tools. And our selection tools are what we're going to be focusing on today. So the goal for today is that we learn one or two of the selection tools, and then you get to play in Photoshop by downloading your own images off Google, make sure they're school appropriate, and then making your own image compilations. So here is this. So I want to remind you that if you don't see your interface looking like mine, if you go up to Window, Arrange, you can pick Float All in Windows, you can change the layout here, or you can go to Workplace and pick a different workplace. I'm going to work in Essentials because that's what I'm most familiar with. One thing I'm going to remind you of is you can adjust the sizing. So I want my window to be bigger and my layers and stuff to be a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to hover over and I'm going to left click and just kind of drag it to the side so that it can be a little bit smaller. So with our selection tools, okay, so just a quick reminder that when we're talking about our selection tools, if I'm looking over in Photoshop here, I'm looking at my marquee tool, which is this one that's got like the dots outlining it. So the marquee tool. And remember, if I click this disclosure triangle, it will show me that there's a rectangular marquee tool, an elliptical marquee tool, a single row, and a single column. So I do want you to take a quick minute here and fill out those 4 tools on your tools worksheet and write the letter M for marquee in as the quick key for that tool. The next tool down is one of my favorites. It's the Lasso tool. So with the Lasso tool, there is a regular lasso, a polygonal lasso. The polygonal lasso will make things that are in a shape. And then there's the magnetic lasso. All of these have the quick key of L. This is what we're going to start with first, is our lasso tools. So the first one we're going to do is just the regular lasso. I find it a little bit harder to use, but some people really like it. And it's good for like real quick stuff. So I'm going to go here to my Stephen Curry picture. So just the one that says Stephen Curry PNG. Let's say that I just want to take a quick cutout of Stephen Curry so that I can throw him into another thing, but I'll refine his edges later. Like I just want to get a general cutout. So I've selected my lasso tool. What you do is I'm going to make a click in a portion of the screen that I can remember. So I'm going to click like down here by his elbow. And with the lasso tool, I just kind of drag around the outside, making sure that I get everything but not too much extra. So again, this is good for like a quick initial grab of something. I do not use the regular lasso tool very often, but it is important that you learn the differences. When I get back to where I started, you'll notice on my cursor, when I get back to where I started, it went to an overlap. Then I get my dancing ants. My dancing ants is my selection. So it tells me that between this set of dancing ants and this set of dancing ants is what I want. So then I've got my dancing ants. I like that selection. I'm going to right click. I am working on a laptop, so I have to control click, but you are able to just right click on your mouse. And you're going to hit layer via copy. So there are a couple options that you can do when you're doing your marquee tools. You can do layer via cut, layer via copy, fill, free transform, all of those things. So this time we're going to pick layer via copy. What that's going to do is over here in my layers panel, I'm going to turn off my visibility eyeball. I now have one of just Stephen Curry. So remember, we don't ever label things layer 1, layer 2. So I'm just going to call that just Curry. I still have my original here. What's really important when you're using your selection tools is that you never, never, never edit the original. Okay, so you always want to edit a copy of the layer or something like that. So if I wanted to do something to this original layer, before I would do that, I would right click on it, on the layer, not on the word, not on the image, so a little bit over here on the layer, and I would tell it to duplicate layer. The quick key for duplicating a layer is Command J. Command J will duplicate your layer. And for this, I'm okay with it being called original copy. That way I just know that that is my copied layer. So now that I have this, I've got him roughly cut out. And then I want you to open your one called the walking elephant. And I want you to do the same thing. So I'm going to duplicate my layer. So I'm going to hit Command J to duplicate it. Original duplicated. I'm going to take my regular lasso tool again. And what I want to do, just to kind of show you what the lasso tool can help you with. So if you go back to your Stephen Curry image here, and you click on your move tool or letter V, you can drag then just Curry over to the walking elephant, and we can make Curry coming out behind the grass to face the elephant. Obviously that cutout is really bad because I can see all the black around Stephen, but you kind of get the gist of that's what that tool does. If I wanted to go in and refine those edges, I would use the eraser tool. So I would go here to my eraser tool, I would click it here. There are a couple different eraser tools that I would use. I would probably start with my magic eraser. What the magic eraser does is it looks at what is different between images. So see how there's dark here and then a lighter gray or a lighter orange here for the basketball. So if I click on that black stuff, it just kind of gets rid of it. So that's one way to do it. And with this, see how it's not getting everything? If I come up here to my options panel, I can adjust the tolerance. If I increase the tolerance, Then when I come down here to cut something out or to make a selection, it's going to select more. See, that selected too much. It took away his head. So I have to hit Command Z to undo that and go back to like maybe 40. And 40 seemed to be a good mix. So I can also use the regular eraser tool. So to go to your regular eraser, you can come over to the toolbar and just pick the regular eraser, or you can hit Shift E, and if you hit Shift E, see how the tools rotate? So when I have my eraser tool selected, I can then go around the edges and smooth everything out. Remember, to zoom in on an image, you can hit Command and the plus sign. And see how by zooming in, I'm able to see it a little bit clearer so that I can make those cuts come away. So that is the first tool. Like I said, I don't use the regular lasso all that often, but it does give you just a really good quick selection so that you can move stuff over. And I'm going to just not pay too much attention to that cutout there. So that's kind of what it would look like. Okay, that makes it look like Stephen Curry's coming out behind the grasses with the elephant. Now I'm going to show you like my favorite, probably my favorite selection tool altogether, and it is the polygonal lasso tool. So I'm going to go to the lasso tools, and I'm either going to hit Shift L, because Shift L will rotate me through the lassos, or I can click on the disclosure triangle and go to polygonal lasso. Polygonal lasso, like I said, is my favorite. So for this, if you click on these arrows here, it'll drop down to let you see what all of your options are. I am going to go to the golfer, so I need you to go to the golfer. And sorry for those that don't like sports, it's just easier sometimes for me to do stuff that I'm familiar with. That's why I give you experimentation time to mess around with your own images. So before I do anything to this background or golfer, I need to duplicate the layer. So that's Command J, or right click, duplicate. Then I need to title it. So I'm going to again double click on the physical word, layer 1, and I'm going to call it golfer copy. So that's why I know it's the original golfer copy. So what I need to do here is we are going to cut out this golfer. Oftentimes you will use more than one thing at a time. What we're going to do on this one is I'm going to keep the golfer, but I just want to get rid of the golf club. So you can also use your selection tools to get rid of things as opposed to keeping them. So with my my polygonal lasso, I'm going to zoom in on the image because one, my eyes are bad, and two, it makes it easier. So again, I want to just see this image, and I want to see pretty much just the golf club. So with the polygonal lasso, it allows you to make straight lines. So I'm going to click at the corner of this guy's ear. I'm going to left click one time. Then I'm going to kind of follow this golf club. And you'll see that you can go, once it hits the straight part there, I can make a long selection so I don't have to click a bunch of times. But you got to make sure you're paying attention to what it is you're actually selecting. And so I'm every time that kind of the slope changes, I have to make another left click on rounded sections. You have to make lots of several clicks. I like this tool because it gives me the control. This tool also works really well with the like this image, this particular image would work pretty well with the magnetic lasso tool also. But we're going to use the polygonal one for this. Anytime there's anything with any straight lines, I typically default to the polygonal version of that tool. So again, as you can see, I'm kind of coming up here and making sure I follow the slope of that golf club. When I get up to the ear, I gotta kind of follow around the ear. You'll notice right there where my cursor is, I've now reached where I started. And so there's a little circle that appears in the bottom right-hand corner of my tool. It's a little circle. It means I've completed my selection, and now I will have dancing ants. So there are a couple ways that you can make images disappear using selection tools. So this is one of them. You can see I've made my selection. I'm going to right click. I'm on a laptop, so I have to control click. If you go down to fill, so if you go to fill, and then you tell it to do content aware, and hit OK, that golf club's going to go away. You can also, with that same thing, you could right click and make a copy so that you could move the golf club later to a different section. So all of these tools that I'm showing you are kind of interchangeable between the different options. So there you can see that it got most of it, went away. There's still a little bit here, the orange, but for today's purposes, that's okay. So to make the dancing ants or the selection go away, I hit Command D. And yeah, for the purposes of today, this is okay. Yes, you can still tell where the golf club is and all of that, but for today, that's okay. I just want you to practice with the selection tools and the different options you can do within selection tools. So there's the club. It's pretty much gone. Leave your golfer there. This time I would like you to go to horizontal ice cream. The horizontal ice cream. So with this horizontal ice cream, again, the first step is to make a copy. So I'm going to hit Command J and make a copy. I'm just going to call it background copy. Now, with each of these marquee tools that we're going to talk about, or the selection tools, again, they can kind of be used interchangeably. They can be used in combination with each other. And all of the functions I'm showing you, like fill and content aware and copy, those can be used on all of the selection tools. So that's kind of why I'm going to bounce around and show you a bunch of different options to do with it, and then give you the time today to just play. So this time I'm going to show you what the magnetic lasso tool can do. So I'm going to go down to the magnetic lasso. Okay. And again, I'm going to zoom in because it just makes it easier. So with this magnetic lasso, I am going to make a selection around this yellow ice cream. So the yellow ice cream, let's not do the yellow. Let's do the green. I'm going to make a selection around just the green ice cream. Okay? So I'm going to start in the bottom left-hand corner of the green ice cream. I'm going to left click one time. That's going to give me my initial selection. Now I'm just going to kind of drag along the green here. And it should be making better selections than this, but it's not. So, I'm going to deselect, Command D, and I'm going to kind of start over because I don't really like what it's doing there. I'm going to increase the frequency. I'm going to increase the frequency to 100 and see if that helps. Because the beauty, there we go, of the magnetic lasso is, for the most part, I should be able to just drag my mouse along the edges here. So see how it's adding the points itself? For the most part, I'm not clicking on it. So again, in the options bar, I had to increase my frequency so that it could, and then around these tight parts I do have to do some clicking to kind of help guide it a little bit. So the magnetic lasso only works if there's a large amount of contrast between the image and the background. And see, when I get to the beginning again, I have that little circle that shows up to give me my dancing ants. So that's not bad. That's a pretty good selection. So for this purpose, I want to make a copy of my green. So I'm going to right click, layer via copy. I'm going to call this green ice cream. So if I were to turn my backgrounds off, visibility-wise, I would see just the green ice cream. So next what I want us to do is we're going to use a different selection tool, and we're going to select the white ice cream. So when we're playing with different selection tools, you have to always go back to the layer that has the image in it. So in this green ice cream layer, the only thing I have is that green ice cream. So when I go and want to make a white ice cream selection, I have to click back on my background copy, because that then gives the icon or gives the image for the computer to reference. So for the white ice cream, I want us to use the selection tool for quick select. So I'm going to go to quick select, or quick key of W. And we're going to come over to the white. Right now my cursor is very small. I can increase it by hitting the left or the right bracket, is one way to do it. Or I can go up into the size, hit the disclosure triangle, and make my adjustments that way. You'll notice that there is a plus and a minus. So the nice thing about the quick select tools is that if you get too much or too little of something, you can always add or subtract it. So I'm going to kind of start by, I'm just left clicking and dragging in this area. So you see how pretty quick it gave me a cutout of just my white. So I'm going to right click then on the white and tell it to make layer via copy. Now I'm going to have over in my layers panel a white ice cream cone. So I'm just going to call it white ice cream. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like if you forget to go back to your original layer. So if I have the white ice cream cut out with my selection tool, but my green ice cream layer is highlighted, when I go over here and tell it to layer via copy, it's going to give me this error. Could not make a new layer from the selection because the selected area was empty. That is all because the wrong layer was selected. If I had the background copy selected, it would then let me make that selection. So I'm going to deselect here. Now we're going to use the magic wand selection to select the pink ice cream. So I'm going to go back to background copy. I'm going to click background copy. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to the magic wand or Shift W. So I can hit Shift W. Now with Shift W, again, we can add and subtract from our selections. And again, it's going to look at tolerance. Tolerance meaning difference between pixel colors. So I'm going to click in the pink and see how my dancing ants are kind of all over the place here. So if I were to make this selection as is, it wouldn't get everything. It would only get the parts around the dancing ants. So I have two options. My first option is I can increase my tolerance. So let's go to like 64. See how a tolerance of 64 gets me way closer to having everything? So it doesn't have everything, but it gets me closer. Let me try like a tolerance of 40. Okay, so this gets close. If you want to add to that selection, see how the next one over is add to selection? You can also hit the Shift key. If you hit the Shift key, or you can click up here in the options bar, but that will allow you to add things, add color frequencies to this particular selection. I don't use the magic wand all that often, but I do find that it's a favorite one of most of my students. You, as you play around and experiment, are going to figure out which ones you like the best. And it really depends on which image you are working with, what ones are going to work the best. So another thing is you can combine. So let's say the magic wand gets me a good outside, but I got all these little parts. I can shift back to my quick selection, and then I can use my quick selection to get those middle parts. So then just like with your magic wand or your other selection tools, you can right click and make a copy, make layer via copy, then go over here, label it pink ice cream. So you've got the white ice cream, the green ice cream, and the pink ice cream. When I finish this tutorial, I'm going to have you kind of continue to play and pick those other colors. Just to kind of see. Now I can take the move tool. So I'm going to go to my move tool. And now that I've got those ice creams, I'm going to hide my background copy. And I can now move those ice cream color flavors wherever I want to. So if you had cut out every cone and you had cut out every ice cream flavor, you could rotate them around, which is what we're going to do next. So we're going to hit our background copy again. Right now I'm going to turn off those 3 colors that I did. And I want to select all of my ice cream cones. So I want just the cones, not the ice cream flavors. What I think is going to be probably the easiest tool to use is probably going to be my quick selection tool. So I'm going to try that one first. If you look over here, I have something wrong though. I need to make sure I click on the background copy. So then I'm going to go in here, and the nice thing about the selection tool, the quick select tool, is I can add, you can see I'm going into multiple different sections and adding the ice cream cones, and I'm adding multiple ice cream cones. And I'm going to zoom in just to do a quick little check here. That one, see how there's this blop here that I don't want? If I hit the option button, or I go up here into my options panel and click the minus, subtract from selection, I can then subtract that bloppy part that I didn't want. Oh wait, here I've got it again. There's white in between those. But this time I need to make my selection icon smaller. So I'm going to hit the left bracket key, or I can go up here into my options bar and reduce the size. I'm going to keep it on subtract. I'm going to drag in that white section because I don't want that white part. All the rest of the selections look good. So now I'm going to right click here in the icon image, and I'm going to tell it to make a layer via copy. I'm going to call this ice cream cones. So now when I turn on these other 3 and I go to my move tool, I can hit V for move, or I can click on the move tool over in the tools bar. I can now bring these ice cream flavors in between moving them and bringing my cursor up. See how I bring it up to the corner and it gives me the rotate option. So between move and rotate, I can now move. I can also use my arrow keys to get a little bit closer refining here. And then I would hit enter. Once I have moved it to where I want it, I would click enter. So again, I'm going to put the white one here. So I kind of moved it. Then I brought my cursor up here to the outside. And I kind of used my right and left arrows and up and down arrows to kind of refine it a little bit. I liked that, and then I hit enter. And then you could do the same with the green. So what I want you to do before you experiment for the rest of today is I want you to practice. Yes, we are talking about practice. Bonus points if you understand that reference. And I want you to move all of the ice cream flavors. So you're going to use either the quick select, the magic wand, or one of your lasso tools to select all 6 ice cream layers and your ice cream cones and move them. Once you have done that, you will then be able to experiment in Photoshop for the rest of today. So you'll pull down school appropriate images off Google and you'll just start playing around with combining things. So kind of like we did with the Stephen Curry and the elephant, where I combined those two together. That works. You can work with these images that you want here too. So whatever works best for you, that's going to kind of be what we do today. And then tomorrow we will go over some more selection tool options and different steps with those. And then you'll get to experiment some more with that. You're going to have to help each other today. Obviously, if people have questions, just please make sure to keep your social distance. And good luck.